Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to dive into AI and large language models, or LLMs. So whether you're a developer, researcher, or you're just curious about AI, then this video is going to be for you. So what's the difference about this video? Well, this is going to show you how to use AI and large language models on your local machine. So you don't need to give it internet access. You can do if you want, but you don't need to. So what exactly is Ollama? Well, it's a platform that makes it super easy to run large language models. Right on your local machine, provides a friendly user experience. It provides an API, so you can use various front ends, so enabling you to generate text, answer questions, and more, all without needing to be an AI expert. So let's just dive right in.
Sheridan Computers, IT, Communications, Support.
Let's head over to ollama.com. So once we're here, this Ollama is basically a tool that allows you to interact with the various large language models. If we go to GitHub to download it, we make this a bit bigger so you can see it. Scroll down a little bit, and we have the instructions for installing on Linux. So I copy that, open shell, and I'm just going to paste it in. So say this Ollama tool is just a way to interact with the various models that you can download. Once we've downloaded the actual Ollama binary, then we're going to need to initialize some models to use with it and download them. So we'll just go ahead and wait for this to download real quick. So you can see that script that we ran created the Ollama user for us. It's added the user to the render group. It's added it to the video group. And then it's added the current user to the group, so we're allowed to use it. It's created the systemd service files, and it's enabled and started the service for us. You can see it's created the system link to the service files, and it has detected that we've got an NVIDIA GPU installed. If we just do systemctl status Ollama, so you can see it's running. It's disabled by default, so if you want to enable it on start, just you can enable it there. Let's do systemctl enable Ollama if you want to. I don't want it to start every time my system comes on. Okay. So it's installed. We've got the binaries, and you can see the help if you just type Ollama without any parameters. Now, what we're going to do is we need a model to test it with. So if we head over to models, you can sort these by feature, most popular, newest. So the newest, this Ollama 3.2 is the one that we're going to use. It comes in various flavors. You've got the 1 billion parameter models, the 3 billion parameter models, and this varies on your graphics card. So we're going to go with 3 bil. You'll see some of them have got 7 bil. Just as a rough guide, the 7 billion ones need like a 16 gig graphics card. They'll take about 14 gig of RAM. But we're going to go ahead and grab this one. So if I click on that, you can see it was last updated 13 days ago. This is the command here that we need to copy in order to download and run that. So let's pull up a command prompt again. I'm going to just paste it. So now it's going to pull the model files. As you can see, this one's 2 gig. So just keep in mind when you're downloading, and you need enough disk space. And if you're on a slow internet connection, this could take a while. So just give this a few minutes to pull the necessary files. So I pulled the main LLM file. Just going to grab the other meta files. So verify and digest. Right, manifest success. So now we're ready. So let's say Ollama is a tool for interacting directly with the large language models from your command line. So tell me about the story of the three bears. So you can see that's not bad at all, speed for this model. So Llama 3.2 is not a bad model to use, especially if you've got a low-end system. So say that is going pretty quick. Certainly quicker than I can read it. So it's good enough for what we want. How awesome is that? So you've got your own private, local AI system, and it's not connected to the internet. That being said, while I'm quite happy to use it from the command line, by having a user interface for it, we can get a better experience and some features that will be easier to use. So we can exit that by doing /by. And that's it. If we need to pull other models, you can browse the models yourself. So look at the models. Let me find a dolphin one. So we've got Dolphin Llama 3. So we can go ahead and pull that one as well. They've got coding skills. There's a lot, but just be aware when you're downloading these of the size of them and how much space you've got in your graphics card. So there are uncensored ones. So you can pull these down. I'm just going to pull this one as well. I'll grab the 8-bill one for this. So for the time being, you probably just want to stick with the 3-bill model. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one down. So as you can see, this one is 4.7 gig in size. So it's going to take quite a while to download. So again, I'll just pause this and wait for it to finish. Just about to reach the end there. So we pulled that 4.7 gig file. Just pulling the other meta files. It's just going to verify it. Success. So now we're running, but this time we are using the Dolphin Llama 3 model. So again, I can do tell me the story of the 3 pigs. So you can see, because this is a larger model, it's a little bit slower. It's probably using CPU, to be honest, rather than my graphics card. In fact, NVIDIA SMI. So you can see we are using 5 gig out of 6 gig on the graphics card here. And again, we can exit. So /by. So you can just do Ollama. Let's get a few other commands. You can do Ollama serve. Then it's in use here, but you can see that that's the listen port. So it by default it listens on 11434. So it's already in use in this case. So let's go ahead and install a user interface. One of the most popular ones seems to be Open WebUI. So if you just search for Open WebUI, here we have it. I don't want that actually, I want the GitHub page. Right, so on the GitHub page, we'll scroll down and we'll find the instructions for installation. And so you can see this is how it will look. So it'll look a lot like ChatGPT does. We've got all the features of it. So this is quite a good one to use. Let's say it looks like the ChatGPT does. Where's the installation instructions? So how to install? You can install it on your machine directly. We're going to use Docker in this case. So what I'm going to do is copy this command here. I'm going to modify it slightly. I'll leave the link to this in the description below. But first we're going to need to install Docker. I don't think I'll have Docker on this system. Nope. So let's go ahead and install Docker. So this will vary depending on what Linux system you're using. Normally a bit apt. On Debian-based systems, I'm using Arch, so I'm going to make sure we're up to date first. So let's make sure the system's up to date. Yep, we got it. So I'm going to sudo pacman -s docker. So I'm going to install Docker. That's that. So let's do Docker version. So that's it, 27.3.1. So I cannot connect to the Docker daemon. Is it running? Let's just double check that. Sudo systemctl status Docker. It's disabled, so I'm just going to start that. Now, if you want it to, you can obviously do system on Arch anyway, systemctl enable Docker if you want it to start every time. Docker. Start every time you're, no, can't even spell. Enable Docker if you want it to start on system startup. I don't, but you can if you want. You can also do sudo user mod. And it's ag docker and then $user, which will basically add your current user to the Docker group, so you don't need to use the sudo command. But we've got to log out and log back in, so I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to keep using sudo for now. But we can do docker run hello world just to test it. Permission denied. And that pulled the hello world Docker image. So now we've got Docker running. So we can proceed to install the Open WebUI. So let's put the instructions again. So I'm going to copy this one, which if you're running on your machine, you can run that top command. If you're running on a different server, use this command. So I'm going to copy this, running on a different server one for the time being. I'm going to paste that in. Oh, well, I'm just going to change it to Docker run, my D for daemon, and then I'm going to change this bit. So I'm just going to put -- network equals host. So it's running direct on the base URL, which is going to be the one that we've shown before when we use serve. So Ollama base URL is just going to be HTTP, not HTTPS. So I will leave the links to these commands. 001 11434, I think I said. I've got backend data, name, Open WebUI, restart always. So restart further. That's all we need. So now it's just going to pull the Open WebUI image for us. So it's on port 3000. All right, so we should be able to do Docker PS. So we can see health starting. It's on port 3000, did I say? So if we go to localhost 3123, can't be reached. Was it 3000? 88, I can't remember. 8080, sorry. Right. So you need to go to localhost port 8080. Now, the reason I changed that command line slightly, as I say, I will leave this in the link, is because I'm running Ollama not in a Docker container. I'm running it on the local host, but I'm using a Docker container for Open WebUI to access it. So once you've got it installed, you can check that that's working. And the if we go to 127.0.0.1, 17434, was it? No, I can't remember what it was. You can tell if it's running. So go ahead and sign up. Enter your name, enter your email. I don't know why you need to do this if you're just running it locally, but I suppose you can access it from other machines if you need to do. Create an account, and the first account that you create will be an admin account. So you'll notice I got a message then about change the password. And this is our interface installed. So there are a couple of configuration changes that we need to do. That's 11434. Yeah. So if you go into localhost or 127.0.0.1, 11434, you'll see that Ollama is running. So we knew that anyway, but just wanted to make sure that we could access it. We can. Right. Up here, if we click on the icon for your name and you go to settings, I'll run through the settings real quick. I'm not 100% familiar with this, but you can change your interface settings. So you can see just various settings, but we want admin settings. So this is where the admin settings. To say the first user that you create is an admin user. So you can see we've got. I'll make this a bit smaller. Right. So it's just because I had it zoomed in, it was showing like that. So you can go in and allow deleting chat. You can stop people deleting or editing chat. If you want to moderate it for whatever reason. You can see it's showing our models already here. I've got to connections. And by default, so this is in 127.0.0.1 I just refresh that. It's verified, so it's working. This one here, I'm just going to turn this off because that's the OpenAI one. You can use that if you want, but obviously that will cost you some credits for API usage. So you can see models here, documents, document settings, set web search settings, whether to enable web search, which is a handy feature, but just remember if you do enable web search, you might expose data to search engine things. Audio, so we've got text-to-speech settings, images if you want to use OpenAPI for it, your pipelines, what database you're using. But the one that we was interested in was we just wanted to make sure that worked. Make sure we can see our models, which we can. So now with that, how do I get off this? Can't see the, we'll just click on the workspace here. Right. So do new chat. We can see our models that we've got. We've got two models. If you want to add knowledge, prompts, tools. If you want a full demo of this, let me know when I've figured it out. I'll have a work. Don't mind doing a video on it. So if we do new chat, so up here we've got select a model. Zoom this in so you can see it. So this select a model, and this is where you can select which model that you'd like to use. So I'm going to use Ollama 3.2 just because it's the fastest one that we've got here. And then set as default. If you don't set as default, every time you do new chat, you're going to have to select the model that you want to use. Now with that, so I'm going to select Llama 3.2, do set as default. So when we do a new chat, that one will appear. Now you'll notice it has this plus icon at the side of it. I'll show you what that does in a second. But if you do plus, get off. You can add a second model or a third model and basically just keep going. Anyway, so how can I help you today? So tell me the story of the 3 pigs. Model not selected. I'm pretty sure I did select it. Come on, get off. No, it's because of that one. It's because I set that as default. It's because I'd added the second one and didn't actually select one. But it has removed my text. Tell me the story of the 3 pigs. So that's quite a usable speed. As I said, the Llama 3.2 is probably the first one that you want to get started with, and then you can play with the other models. But that's more than usable. I'm just going to stop that there. So what have we got? We can edit the response. We've got copy, read aloud, good response, bad response. I've read something about these indicate how good it is, but I've not seen where they're recorded anywhere. So you can continue the response or you can regenerate a new one. So if we just clear that one, I'm going to new chat. You can see that we've got the latest model selected already here. Now what I am going to do is go ahead and select the second model. So I've got dolphin here. And go, why is water wet? So now you can see side by side, it's generating, it's using Llama 3.2. And we've also got the Dolphin Llama 3 latest one here. When it's finished doing this, we'll get a second response from the other LLM. This is quite a handy feature of the interface, but just remember if you do this, obviously you're going to have to wait at least twice as long for your reply. As you can see, this one, the Llama 3, because it's a 7 billion parameter model, it is fairly slow on this system. So I'm using some Arch Linux with a 611 kernel. And you can see my GPU is only an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 260. NVIDIA SMI. So we can see how much the GPU is using here. And that'll vary with your models, so you need to make sure that you do have a GPU capable of loading the model. Otherwise, it'll start using the CPU and it'll go quite slow. So you can see the 3.2 gave us quite a long response, whereas the Llama 3 one just gives us a lot shorter response. So with that, you have a fully working local AI large language model. You can change between models for various tasks such as coding. Some models are better at certain tasks. Let me just make this smaller. So what else can we do with it? Well, let me go to a bleeping computer and find some news. So we've gone to bleeping computer. Yeah, reject all. Microsoft Patch Tuesday. So we can grab the text off this. I'm just going to come above where it says related articles. One thing to remember when you're doing this, you can link the web page and just say, tell me about the web page. You're much better off copying and pasting the content because it tends to pick these related articles up and it can give it misleading results. But if we copy all that and I go back to paste that in, summarize the above. I've got both models selected. And just stop that. And I'll leave them both gone. So that took a bit longer, but as you can see, it's now summarizing that news article for us. So you can upload documents and query the documents, such as PDF, for example. But this video, it's the first one that I've done on pretty much using AI, and I just wanted to try it. So figured I might as well share it with the world as I'm doing it. You can see because this other one is such a larger model, it's taken a lot longer to respond. As I say, I am only using a 6 gig graphics card in here, so I should probably do with ordering a better one. If you start looking at graphics cards, I'd recommend a 16 gig minimum, 24 at least, ideally. This is still going. I'm just going to stop that because my graphics card really doesn't like it. So let me remove this, delete that. I'm going to do new chat, and close that bleeping computer article. Just seeing a notification about the OpenSense 24.7.6 has been released. If I copy this, let's go back into our WebUI, paste it, and then I do summarize. So it has kind of got this wrong on it. It seems like you've got a list of security and reliability updates from the OpenBSD project, and it wasn't. So these are actually OpenSense updates. The smaller the model size, the less accurate they tend to be. So the larger models tend to be more accurate. So just keep an eye on them. And rather than asking it to paste in a load of information in and asking it to deal with all that for you, just do it in short chunks and you'll be fine with the Llama 3.2 models. But I mean, this has give us a good summary. So Catherine Unbound, dashboard rework, some other updates, improved API ACL entries, which ports have been updated. So it is actually quite accurate, other than it thought it was OpenBSD patches instead of OpenSense patches. With that, we're up and running. Okay. What if we want to remove it? So I guess the next thing we should do is remove it. Oh, let's have a look at another interface, actually. So this is a web-based interface. Let's look at AnythingLLM. So I'm just going to close this for the time being. In fact, to leave it open makes no difference. AnythingLLM. GitHub. Find the instructions here. So with AnythingLLM, it's just a different interface. But I believe it's There's the instructions. Can't find the instructions for it. Yeah, this is another one that I've seen people raving about. Maybe just do it direct from the website. So download LLM for desktop. Windows. So AnythingLLM supports Mac, both Apple and Intel Macs, Windows, and Linux. So we're going to go ahead and select the Linux one. And again, we've got an installer script here. So I'm just going to copy this line here. That copy it. And then we'll just paste that back in. Where am I? So I'll paste that. And I'll download the latest AnythingLLM Desktop. So if you don't want to use Docker and access it through a web page, you can do it this way. The one advantage if you are serving it as a web page is if you want to leave your machine on, you can access it from obviously other computers on your network. All right. So AnythingLLM Desktop is ready to run, and you can start it with this command here. So we'll copy that. In fact, I just need this bit. And then if I do so open on the other screen, it would do. Yeah. Going to work. Cannot boot Ollama, no executable found in what? You sure there's no other instructions in that? Oh, come on. Okay, this time it's opened. Right. So this is a desktop client that you can use to, I can't really zoom it in. This is a desktop client that we can use, AnythingLLM. So it's similar to the Open WebUI, but rather than accessing it through a browser, we do it this way. We're using Ollama, so it supports obviously various backends. We want Ollama. We've got the model, so we can see it's obviously picked up our model here. So I'm going to go with 3.2 latest. Max tokens 4096, just leave that as it is. You can change the advanced settings to the base URL, which is correct because that's the same one that we served from. It's the same one that we saw in Open WebUI. So LLM selection, embedding preference, we'll just leave AnythingLLM embedder. On the vector database, we'll just leave that to AnythingLLM as well. So what's your email? In fact, you can skip this. This is just a survey. You can fill this out or not fill it out. It's up to you if you'd rather provide some useful feedback. Choose a workspace name. Let's call it my workspace. I did. I'll type it in though. Yeah, so you can see workspace created successfully. We're going to settings, admin. Under here, you've got general settings. So you've got enable discovery, workspace chats, providers. So LLM, and this is where you can obviously change the model here. And the size and the settings again, you've got the database, the embedder information, again, voice and speech, transcription provider, And you've got general admin settings, workspace chats, which I've just covered. Agent skills. So if you look at agent skills, we've got the top 3 that are default. So scrape websites, view and summarize documents, and rag and long term memory. Term memory. You've got some other features that you can turn on. Generate and save files to your browser. Generate charts. Allow web search and SQL connector. So we go back to dashboard with this button here. My workspace. And we've got the threads here. So if I click on this thread, new thread. Tell me the story of the 3 pigs. As you can see, that's pretty fast and quite usable as well. And here you have the ability down at the bottom, if you can see this, we can attach a file to this chat. We've got slash commands. View all available agents for this workspace, and then change the text size. So we can change it from small, large, normal. I'll leave it on large so you can see it here. The slash commands are quite useful actually, but if we do that, we can do add new preset, command, and put summarize, and then whatever you want. So summarize the above content. Responds with summary. Save. And then if you want to use that prompt in future, you can just do summarize. So that's a really handy feature of this, to be able to set your prompts up and then you can just access them using the slash command. Right, if we want to clean up after ourselves, let's get rid of some of this stuff. Right, let's remove Ollama. First of all, we can just do sudo docker ps and remove that. So I'm going to do sudo docker stop Open WebUI. I'm just going to remove that. So that's removed that. In order to remove Ollama, we're going to do sudo systemctl stop Ollama. Sudo systemctl disable Ollama, just to make sure. I'm going to sudo rm etc systemd system Ollama.service, remove the service files. There doesn't seem to be an uninstall script from what I can see. Now sudo rm which Ollama, remove the Ollama binary itself. Once we've done that, we can remove the downloaded models. So we'll do sudo rm -r user share Ollama. So that's where the models are stored if you need to delete any of them. So we've deleted them, and then it creates a user, as we noticed on the script at startup. So we're going to do sudo user del Ollama. It has other members, sudo group del Ollama. Right, and that's pretty much how you clean up after yourself. If you've got any queries about this, please leave them in the comments below. I'm just started playing with this stuff myself. So what we've achieved there is downloading the Ollama binaries from ollama.com. And then, as I say, that's just a way to interact with the actual large language models from the console. It also sets an API up, so other front ends can use it, which I've shown you an example of 2 front ends which are quite popular. With that, obviously you're still free to use ChatGPT or whatever. It's probably going to be a bit quicker for you. But if you're querying any private documents, or you type in anything that's private and you don't particularly want sharing with the entire world, then this is a really good way to do it. So large language models hosted locally are really good. There's another way of doing it using something called private GPT. I might cover that in another video. Please let me know how you're using it, what you use it for. I generally use it just for creating marketing content and stuff for the company. If you like this video, please give it a like. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.